You're watching today's WCCO television with Brad Good and Amy Marsalis. This is the 10 o'clock news on Channel 4.
Today's New York Times report says the U.S. is seeking a confrontation with Iraq, and that attack could be imminent, and that it's for George Bush's political purposes.
The campaign and the convention have nothing to do with this. This is the national security interest of the United States. This is obligations to support the United Nations.
But some officials in the article wonder if Saddam Hussein is really the target the administration is shooting for, or if the target is re-election to the White House. We're just 12 hours from the start of the Republican National Convention. Good evening, I'm Amy Marsalis.
And I'm Brad Good. Tonight we'll look at the evidence experts say we should watch for if it's true and the convention fallout from all of this. First, this is the New York Times Sunday edition, the article that's captured the attention of so many high-ranking officials. If you missed a version in your morning paper, the article says the administration and allies have decided to provoke a confrontation with Iraq on Monday morning. And that plan could lead to renewed bombing. And some U.S. government officials say the timing appeared calculated to give President Bush a boost during the Republican convention. Well, the president returned to the White House to angrily deny those reports.
From now on, some will accuse us of political opportunism for every move I make. And that's unfortunate, but it is not going to deter me from doing what is right, regardless of the political fallout.
Tonight, the Associated Press backs up the Times report as far as a plan being in place if Iraq defies the UN inspectors who want to see inside some Baghdad buildings. Among the levels of response, according to unnamed administration sources, include shooting down Iraqi military aircraft, cutting off the flow of oil from Iraq to Jordan, and bombing military targets. And our satellite center staff monitoring other media found similar reports tonight.
One thing CNN Pentagon correspondent Wolf Blitzer said to watch for was the response of the UN inspection team if refused entry.
The current team of UN inspectors, if denied entry into a government ministry building, may simply be ordered to pack their bags and head home. This, officials say, would be the surest sign yet that the stage is set for another round of U.S.-led airstrikes.
CBS reporter Tom Fenton is in Baghdad covering the inspection team. He reported that they went out with no indication of any change in plans.
One of the few signs we have tonight is that the leader of the UN team says he plans to leave still on Tuesday. That doesn't sound like a standoff is imminent, but you never know.
CBS Pentagon correspondent David Martin says there are enough forces in place for an airstrike if needed, and that top command officials are in Saudi Arabia supposedly on a routine exercise. Now, what we haven't heard is what Saddam Hussein says about all of this.
And he was most recently shown on Iraqi TV yelling about merchants he considers to be profiteering from the sanction-caused shortages, rather. His ambassador to the UN told CNN tonight that Iraq is not afraid of the reports and that any attacks would be seen as an act of aggression and that they would respond. Well, through all of this news breaking tonight, you might wonder what rival Bill Clinton is doing during all of this. A spokesman says he's taking a couple days off campaigning to work on his Arkansas governor duties. As for the New York Times report, we mentioned a Clinton spokesman refused to criticize the president, saying, quote, Saddam Hussein has to know the American people are unified. Of course, the question in all this may how it will color the Republican National Convention set to open tomorrow in Houston. Tomorrow, the president and vice president head that way. But our government reporter, Pat Kessler, is already there and joins us now live. Pat, I take it all this talk about the confrontation is, got to be the subject of debate there already.
Morning to this headline in the Houston Post. It says it's Clinton by 17% over George Bush in Texas. Now, of course, Texas is George Bush's adopted home state, but voters say here he hasn't done enough about the bad economy. That news did little to dampen Minnesota's spirits, however. They were serenaded tonight by a mariachi band at the Art Institute of Houston. There, they sampled Mexican food, remarked on the massive urban sprawl here, and praised their hosts.
We're seeing a lot of support. In fact, this morning, the Minnesota delegation at our hotel was able to have our church service right there because some people in the motel came down and had a little mini service right away around the pool because none of us could find any churches or way to get to any place.
Now, these Minnesota Republican delegates here in Houston proudly wave their conservative banner, and they say they are eager to start a fight as early as tomorrow morning over the controversial issue of abortion. Well, not a single Minnesota delegate showed up tonight at another major event. It was a reception for abortion rights leaders and abortion rights activists across the nation. Their Minnesota delegates were singled out for their staunch anti-abortion views.
Republican delegates from Minnesota are totally out of step and out of touch with Minnesota, with Republicans in general, and with the country as a whole.
Tomorrow, some Republican delegates here will try to remove from the platform some strict language prohibiting abortion in the platform, which prohibits abortion in all cases, including rape and incest. Well, security here is very, very tight, so tight, in fact, that many Minnesota delegates coming here to Houston had their luggage separated from them in Minnesota, specially x-rayed before it was allowed to come here. That's just some of the things that are happening here. The president and the vice president are going to be here later in the week. Governor Tommy Thompson of Wisconsin is expected to address the delegation here, and also we're going to hear a lot more in the next few days over abortion and foreign affairs. Brad?
Pat, just wondering, what are you hearing from the Minnesota delegates at this point, seeing that President Bush has at least gained some momentum in the polls, at least from how far back he was from Clinton just a week or two ago?
Well, it's exactly the way you asked the question. Is the glass half full or half empty? A month ago, he was 31 points behind, say, the Republicans here in Houston. Now he's only 17 points behind. It's still a huge lead for Bill Clinton here in Texas and across the country, but they expect him to have this convention bounce after they leave Houston here in a few days, and expect Americans to have another look at George Bush and maybe give him another chance.
All right, Pat, thanks. We'll talk to you throughout the week.
However, on this eve of the Republican National Convention and a possible military strike in Iraq, thousands of Americans are preoccupied with another event, the 15th anniversary of Elvis Presley's death. Last night, some 15,000 people were expected to be at this candlelight vigil in Graceland. Usually, warm-up events take on a lighter air, but this vigil was serious business for hardcore Elvis fans.
Pouring all over my hand, my feet, and I didn't care. I just wanted to get in and say a prayer and put a flower down and say a prayer for Elvis, and that's what I did.
Presley died at age 42 at Graceland. A medical examiner listed the cause of death as heart disease, but court testimony later revealed he was addicted to prescription drugs. Well, the news marches on.
It certainly does. Later, if you thought Elvis devotees might be, well, devoted, watch for some people who think man was meant to fly. And ahead, what to watch out for tomorrow. You've seen it in orange as new road construction begins and other projects finally end. And next, a tribute to a hit-and-run victim whose family still waits for police to catch his killer. Stay with us.
You're watching the 10 o'clock news on Channel 4.
A luxury car made for you in America.
The Lincoln Luxury Clearance is the best time to buy, with total savings of over $3,800, even before you make your best deal. Save on Lincoln Continental, on Lincoln Town Car. Both offer standard dual airbag protection and standard anti-lock brakes. For great savings, the Lincoln Luxury Clearance is not to be missed.
In and about the Gilman-Foley area, 5 of the deer were shot in Benton County, 1 deer was shot in Mille Lacs County. There were 2 10-point bucks, a 7-point buck, and 3 does.
You said something earlier that the one measurement qualifies for a special fine, being it's a large buck. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes, in the new restitution laws, a restitution value has been assigned to the animals. For a white-tailed deer, that is $500. There is an exception that for a trophy animal, that fine amount or that restitution value can be doubled. And one of our bucks met the minimum requirement of 135 points, scored Boone and Crockett. It met that minimum value. It actually exceeded the minimum value, and it then therefore is classified as a trophy animal, and we'll be seeking $1,000 restitution value for that deer.
Deacons, squeeze in for me when he's done? Yeah.
I mean, move in a little closer.
Just a little.
Because it was missing at one time, that's when we lost our point value. This other one ended up at 137.
See, it's missing a tine here, so that's why it didn't make the trophy. Otherwise, it would have scored a trophy as well.
And easily made a trophy. This other one here was a 137 and an 8. The other one was a 128.
Smells good, huh?
Yeah, they're stinking a little bit.
Him.
Wasn't a bull, but he got one. He was pretty happy. Everybody got a shot. Everybody else missed.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. And dump them. Okay.
Just dump it all?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead and dump them. Move them around, set them up, or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, just continue to slowly kind of shuffle them. Feel for them, I guess, huh? Yeah, okay, just look down at the ducks. You don't have to shuffle them anymore.
I got a mounted one.
That's one thing I'd always like to have is a nice, pretty woody. I don't hunt ducks, and probably I'll never get one.
Oh yeah, you will. Well, I got a 9-day season up there, so.
They'd be on a moose. That's a little extreme. I mean,
A little bit.
I mean, dropping a bird at one shot too, it might be, one over your limit. That's bad enough.
A real sportsman.
Were they from the Zimmerman area, or are they?
Zimmerman and Elk River.